Hi guys, Ashley here, also known as the HLE fan. I'm back today with another video. And today's video will be on my favorite characters from any TV show. And the first character I'm going to talk about that is absolutely one of my favorites is Negan from The Walking Dead. He is portrayed by Jeffrey D. Morgan, and I love Jeffrey D. Morgan. I was always a fan of him when he was, very humbling himself, being in movies and shows that people might not really recognize him from. But when I go on things like Instagram or like old talk shows, he was like very popular. Like he was very a popular actor, and so maybe a lot of people, maybe some people don't know who he is, but like some people do know. If you catch my drift. So yeah, really love Jeffrey Dean again. So let's talk about Negan. A lot of people don't like him. A lot of people blame him for why the show declined. Me personally, I feel like it's easy to blame a character than to blame the writers for the inconsistency or just the plain out boringness of a show. It's easier to blame a villain, but I feel like Negan isn't the reason for that. But I can, if that's gonna be your opinion, then go on ahead. I feel like a lot of people only feel away because Glenn Abraham died. Spoiler alert for anyone who has not watched Walking Dead. This video will have a lot of spoilers. So if I was you, don't watch it if you haven't seen Walking Dead. But let's talk about Negan. We're gonna talk about his villainous side, and then we'll get into his redemption arc side, and then I'll talk about why I really love him. So Negan was introduced as a villain of the Saviors. He has a bat named Lucille, and he took out Glenn and Abraham because Rick and his group took out people in the satellite station. People, men and women who were sleeping and they couldn't defend themselves, and Rick and them took them out. They thought this was the right thing to do. So Negan felt like, okay, they killed some of my men, so now I'm gonna kill two of yours. Well, in actuality, he was only going to kill one of them, but he ended up killing two. So he decided to kill two of them. And on the side, they have to start working for Negan, providing for him, kind of like a grocery store. Kind of like what he said to Father Gabriel, it's like kind of an economy. People work for people, and you have to work to make a living. So I feel like his methods as a villain was like really great. Like I feel like they were really menacing and like very like smart, and I think it's because he was a gym teacher, so that's kind of like why he was like so intelligent when it came to things like that, like the economy and like having people who work for you to earn their way. Because in life, you cannot just sit on your ass and expect things to come to you. You have to go get it. You have to work to get the things you want. You have to bust your ass to get the things you want. So I feel like Negan and his methods were like really interesting. That the more you work, the more I guess you have to become your own boss in a way. Once you work really hard and you become your own boss. No one really has to tell you what to do. You become your own boss. And it's kind of like why he has guys like Dwight and the rest of the Saviors who really they're not workers. They kind of work for him because they get special treatment because they work so hard, they kind of become their own bosses. So I kind of always respected that with him. I thought Jeffrey D. Morgan did such a great job portraying Negan. It was crazy because way before I saw him on Walking Dead, I was watching The Good Wife and he was in there, and it's crazy because he left The Good Wife to come start working on The Walking Dead. So I guess that's why a lot of people said the final episode for The Good Wife it sucked because she never got a chance to really choose between Jason and her husband. So I thought that was crazy because I was just like watching The Good Wife, and then I saw him and I thought he was like extremely sexy. So it was crazy seeing him on Walking Dead, and he's still sexy to this day. God, I mean, it's fine. But anyway, I'm getting off track. But anyway, yeah, like I thought Negan was just a really great villain. I thought that he had really great motivations, like having that's turn people, that's get them all sick by with the Walker blood and everything like that. And I feel like I think the reason a lot of people say that he might have not been that interesting. I thought the Sanctuary episodes were more interesting in season 8 than they were in 7, because in 7 they focused on people who I just didn't care about, like Dwight, Eugene, Simon. I didn't care about them. But then I realized why that was, because he's more of a less is more villain, and I kind of always really appreciate that with him. it's kind of like that whole Joker thing, that you don't see Joker in every movie, you don't see him in every episode, but when you do see the Joker, we are all captivated by what he's going to say, what he's going to do, what does he have up his sleeve for Batman, and like that just makes Negan 10 times more interesting, that we don't see him that much, and then when we do, it's interesting. I was always captivated by Negan, by Jeffrey Morgan's performance. I feel like he always had great one-liners, great dialogue, and he actually was like the most. I feel like out of all the villains, he's the most interesting, and he has the most personality. I think the governor was the most menacing, but I don't think the governor, when they try to give governor something, like when they try to give him a personality, I feel like it didn't work for me. So I kind of feel like his villainous side was more interesting than them try to say that he has humanity underneath all that. I just didn't believe that he had humanity underneath all that. Negan, honestly, he's more of an anti-hero. He kind of has certain things, rules, certain things that he just won't do, kind of like his own moral code, things that he just is completely against, like rape and killing kids and killing women. Like he's really against all that stuff. So I thought that was always interesting, because sometimes some villains don't have no boundaries, but he's a villain that does have boundaries. There's just certain lines that he just won't cross. So I felt like that was always interesting with him. And then eventually he ended up meeting his demise by getting locked up in a cell. And I feel like this is the great transition of his redemption arc, because he started realizing he had to make some changes in the cell, and then they started giving him freedom outside the cell. And one of the things I've always really loved about Negan is his dynamic with children. And I think, like I said, I think that always comes from the fact that he was a gym teacher, is that I've always loved his dynamics with the kids. If I had to say the one kid I wish we got to see more of with him with is Carl. I feel like that was a big missed opportunity if we didn't see enough with, and I would have had loved to see him with more dynamics with Carl. I loved his dynamic with Carl for a little bit of time we got. Lydia was really a great dynamic. I loved his dynamic with Judith. I thought that was really cute. Like I thought he had great dynamics with the kids. And oh, Jenny, I loved his dynamic with Jenny in Dead City, because he's such a great man. Like I feel like people just tend to look over that, and like he's a really great guy. I feel like out of all the villains that I've seen in the TV show, Negan's redemption arc has to be the most believable to me, because he actually changed, whether people want to believe it or not. I don't care what people say about him. I feel like he actually has changed, and it's not like people like Maggie, if she's choosing not to see it, that's because she hasn't figured out how to work through her own trauma. Like she's so obsessed with Negan to the fact that it's ruining her mental health, it's ruining her relationships with people that she cares about still in her life, like her son. And that's why I feel like Walking Dead Dead City is a show that just shouldn't exist. I'm not against, and also that too. Negan was so interesting. Fans couldn't live without seeing him, that he got his own spinoff. A villain, well, not really a villain, an anti-hero got his own spinoff, continuing his story of his redemption arc. Like, come on. How many villains can say that? Not many. Like, come on. I feel like the Dead City kind of, I feel like towards the end of the episode they were hinting that old Negan was coming back, and that's just something I'm not really like a huge fan of. I just really feel like that would ruin his whole redemption arc to me if they have him go back to his old ways. But I will be tuning in for season 2 to see what they do with Negan. I don't really care about Maggie's character. I'm only watching this for Negan. They should just make this a Negan show. But if I just say the biggest thing that showed a Negan is deep down a man with a humanity, it was just closed off for a defense mechanism. Was here's Negan in the episode. It was a really good episode, really good emotional episode. I loved everything about it. It was the only good episode in season 10. So yeah, I feel like that episode, if you don't like Negan, maybe that episode will help you understand a little bit more, to help you understand that he's not really a villain. He's not really a villain. But the episode was really good. It was really emotional. I thought him and Hillary have amazing chemistry. Not really a lot of people who are married or relationships could pull off chemistry, and they did it so excellently well. So yeah, it was a good episode. Another thing too that I love about Negan is that he makes I can't I hope my own person realizes this, but he his dynamics with people in general make them more interesting as characters. Like Maggie, Daryl, the Whisperers. He made the Whisperers more interesting once he got there. I know like a lot of people say that he made them look like jokes, but honestly, he made them more interesting because they were boring as hell in season 9 and 10 before Negan got with them. They were so boring. Alpha is a boring ass villain. She's not interesting. She's not charismatic. Negan made that group interesting. Interesting. He made them interesting as villains. Because Jeffrey Morgan, he just has natural charisma and natural charm. He knows how to get into his character. He knows how to get into his body language and his dialogue and his one-liners. And he's gonna make you laugh. He's gonna make you care about what he has to say. I don't care about that with Alpha. I have no interest in what she has to say. So yeah. So my thoughts about I think what else? Oh, something I want to discuss is something I want to discuss is that last night I was watching that episode with him and Maggie, and they were talking about what happened at the satellite station and what happened that night when he killed Glenn Abraham. And she told him that that Negan can't tell her about cruelty because he murdered Glenn Abraham in front of them. But I feel like in that argument I had to take Negan's side. And please just hear me out. Please hear me out. Because Negan has a point. They killed people in their sleep, people who couldn't defend themselves. And y'all thought that was the morally right thing to do. There was no black and white, there was no gray. This is what y'all have to do. Y'all had to do this, right? Y'all were all in on it. Like he said, they had people who cared about them. They had friends, they had girlfriends, they had people who cared about them. And as a leader, he had to make them understand those losses. Kind of like Rick. Rick had to make them understand what they lost and how he could fix it as a leader. So Negan thought the only way he could fix this is by getting some vengeance. He killed two people from their group, which, if you think about it, he gave them a pass because they killed a lot of people, and he killed only two. And on the other side, I get to provide for me. They were getting off easy, if you ask me, Rick and them. They were getting off easy. Negan went easy on them because honestly, if he really wanted to, he could have killed all of them. Kind of like he told Maggie, if I would have done things differently, I probably would have killed all of you. And I saw like people comment saying that why would he say something like that if he's supposed to be on a redemption arc? I feel like, yeah, he's on a redemption arc. But another thing too that I was learning about Negan is that he's extremely honest. He's not a cookie cutter. He's not like he's extremely honest. He isn't gonna lie about how he feels. And I feel like this is complete honesty. It doesn't derail his redemption arc. It kind of makes it more realistic to the fact that he's owning up to how he feels. Like, and I agree with him. If he really wanted to, he could have killed every single one of y'all for what y'all did to his man. But he didn't. He let y'all off easy. When you talk about cruelty, where did Aaron get Gracie? She had parents, and y'all killed them. Y'all went to two different stations and killed these people in cold blood because y'all couldn't get to Negan. How was that morally right? Nah. Let's just say how it is, and that's just called a spade. Both groups were wrong on how they handle things, but it was wrong. But in a show like The Walking Dead, killing is necessary. So this is how they sell things: killing. But Maggie can't talk about Negan and his cruelty without discussing Rick and their cruelty, because their cruelty started in season 5 after they came back from shit. As they were kidnapped by those cannibal people, I forgot the Terminus. After they kidnapped by Terminus, they all came out a little bit more stronger, a little bit more vicious. They all started their cruelty. So yeah, so it kind of just made you feel like Rick do something like that. You gotta question his leadership a little bit about taking people in their sleep. So Negan was right. I was kind of on his side here. You can't talk to me about cruelty when y'all do the same things too. So I really love Negan as a character. I feel like he's very interesting. Everything about him is interesting. His dynamics with people are great. He makes people more interesting. He is just a really great character. So, and all that is due to Jeffrey D. Morgan. He honestly made the character alive. He bodied that character. He put so much into that character, and he has like I've even hearing that he has the most dialogue out of anybody because Negan he's such a character that talks a lot, so he just embodies a lot of his dialogue and everything, and that's give a bonus point to his introduction how he was introduced in season 6. What a great monologue with Jeffrey D. Morgan. He ate it up. He ate it up. He made the comic book Negan look like a joke compared to him. Like he ate it up. He eats up all of his lines and all of his scenes, everything. He's just such a great character. So that was my thoughts on Negan as a character. Look out for episode 2 for one of my favorite characters. I don't know who's gonna be yet. I have so many favorite characters. So this is episode 1 with Negan.